Good evening. I'd like to call to order this business meeting for the Borough of Gettysburg Borough Council for Monday, November 10th, 2025. I'm going to ask that you all join me this evening in starting off our meeting with a moment of silence and a pledge to the flag. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. This is the second meeting in a row I've had to start off with some sad news. Somebody close to the borough government passing, not unexpectedly, but still unwelcome. One of our public works employees, Brian Ahrens, passed after a lengthy illness on Friday. I didn't know Mr. Ahrens, but Robbie sure did, and Mr. Claybaugh sure did, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to speak if they'd like.
Yes, thank you. So Brian unfortunately left us. He was hired 2 years ago, was a dedicated and outstanding worker, did anything you asked him to do, and always wanted to do more. He was battling some issues past couple months, and he kept fighting. And he kept fighting till the end, and he wanted to come home so bad because he missed us and wanted to come back to work. He didn't want to give up. But on Friday, he passed away. Yes. Chad?
So thank you for letting me say a couple of words. Brian was my uncle. Whenever he came to the borough looking for the job here, I remember talking to Charles and Robbie, and they're like, so I understand that Brian's your uncle. Do you have anything to say about him? And I said, oh yeah, he's one of my favorite people on this earth. And that's really how I can summarize his life. He is, just anybody that ever met him, he is one of their favorite people. He was a football coach at DeLone Catholic, and anybody knows a high school football coach is a very charismatic type of a people. All of the guys loved him. He has three amazing kids, my two cousins, Tanya and Ashley, and Brady. Just this past summer, Uncle Brian and I, we flew down to, along with a bunch of my family members, down to Brady's in the Navy, and he got married this past summer. And he's pregnant with Uncle Brian's fifth grandson. So that was kind of tough, but we were glad that he was able to make that trip down to Jacksonville this summer with us, to be able to see his son get married. But like Robbie said, Brian was just every factor of life. He was just awesome at it, including his job. He had such a great work ethic, and it's just that when I was talking to his daughters this weekend, they were saying it's just a shame that the borough didn't get the full and best part of Uncle Brian here at the later part of his life. But certainly he'll be missed. So again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a couple of things, and he'll be missed.
Sorry, Chad. An executive session was conducted by the Borough Council of the Borough of Gettysburg immediately following the adjournment of its 2026 budget work session held on October 27th, 2025, consistent with Section 708A1 and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act. An executive session will be conducted by the Borough Council immediately following the adjournment of this evening's monthly general business public meeting, consistent with Section 708A1 and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act for the following purposes: to provide updated information and to discuss matters involving the employment or appointment of current, prospective, or former borough employees, the terms and conditions of employment, and the evaluation of performance of current borough employees. And 2, to review and discuss matters of borough business which, if conducted in public, could lead to the disclosure of information or confidentiality protected by law. At this point, I'd like to take a motion to approve the November 10th, 2025 agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve minutes of the Borough Council Business Meeting on October 14th, 2025, Council Public Hearing for the zoning ordinance on October 27th, 2025, and the Borough Council Budget Work Sessions held on October 20th and October 27th, 2025, and November 3rd, 2025 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Were there any corrections, omissions, errors, additions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next portion of the meeting is something we only do very rarely. We have to fill a vacant seat. Those of you who were with us last week learned along with the public that we had lost Mrs. Butterfield. And tonight we do have to fill that seat. The Borough Code in the state of Pennsylvania give us 30 days to fill a vacancy. I was hoping Solicitor Eastman could say a few words about the requirements of us in this moment on how we fill a seat.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. The Borough Code sets forth very specifically that if any vacancy occurs in the office of the mayor, member of council, auditor, controller, or tax collector, by death, resignation, or for failure to take the required oath of office or to give bond as provided by law, the council shall fill that vacancy within 30 days by appointing by resolution a registered elector of the borough or of the ward in the case of a ward office to hold the office if the term continues that long until the first Monday in January after the first municipal election occurring more than 60 days after the vacancy occurs. Because Mrs. Butterfield, her term, she did not run for re-election, but her term was to expire on the first Monday of January 2026. The person, if you choose to appoint a person to fill that vacancy, they will serve the remainder of her term, which would be to January 5th of 2026, the time when council would reorganize.
All right. So further, there is no specified method for filling a seat. We've done it a couple different ways, a few different points in time. The last time we had a seat that we needed to fill, we opened it up to applications. And then we had a very, I felt, sort of uncomfortable process here in this room where we had to publicly vote on those applicants. It's not a graceful way to do this, but it's probably what we will be doing in January when we will have a seat that will be vacated that we need to fill. So for the time being, we did receive one application for an open seat. If it's okay with you, we would keep that on file pending the vacancy appointment in January. And then we would open this up between now and the first of the year. Anybody who wished to apply for that vacant seat could, and council will hear those applications. For this time, in this seat, with only 2 business meetings left in this calendar year, I think the most sensible thing is to appoint the person who just won the election for that seat, and that would be William Mooney III. Would anybody care to agree, disagree, or make a motion to do so?
I'll agree with that and make that motion. Counting today's meeting, that there's 2 meetings left, not workshop and business, like literally counting today. There's 1 more after today for this year. I absolutely think that seat needs to be filled, and I am glad that we have someone that ran in Ward 3 and has just been elected and can join in right away because they would be taking the oath in January. So I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. The Borough Code stipulates that the swearing-in must be conducted either by the mayor, a judge, or by a notary public registered in the state of Pennsylvania. And Ms. Stahl, the secretary, is our notary public, so she will be administering the oath. Mr. Mooney, would you mind joining us up here? Want to do it at the podium? Yeah. At the podium, please.
My bill. Okay. I, William H. Mooney, do
I-
solemnly swear.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had
It's
to
okay.
repeat it.
Yeah, you can repeat it.
Okay. I, William H. Mooney III, do hereby solemnly swear
Or affirm that I will support,
and affirm that I will support,
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I would discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Okay?
Thank
Just
you.
need you to sign.
You'll have to bring that back.
I have more.
Come on up.
Over there.
Make it official, so what you sign here, please. Thank you. You're welcome.
Congratulations on your electoral win. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
The next order of business for us is going to be to fill the vice presidency here for the council. Would anybody care to make a motion to nominate a member of council for vice president?
Excuse me, Mr. Moon. I'd like to make a motion to elect and appoint Alicia Wansel Sanders as the Vice President of Borough Council of the Borough of Gettysburg.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I just wanted to make sure you know you could vote there, too. All right, that motion carries. Ms. Sanders, would you please take this seat? And Mr. Mooney, would you please take that one? Congratulations. It's been a long time since we've had 7 people seated up here. Glad we were able to rectify that tonight. Judy's chair will be very hard to fill, but I have a lot of faith in these people up here with me, and I want to thank you all for your hard work. It takes us to our first public comment section for the evening. This section is restricted to items appearing on tonight's agenda. We ask that you use the podium. Please state your name and address of residence, and please limit yourself to 5 minutes. If you'd like to speak on a subject that's not on tonight's agenda, we ask that you wait till the second public comment section at the end of tonight's meeting. Is there any public comment? Is the little green light on there?
Nope.
There you go. Thank you.
I'm Susan Sipperly. I live at 314 North Stratton in Gettysburg. A vote to move the draft rezoning ordinance forward is on the agenda tonight. There are significant flaws in the extended height incentives, the industrial zoning, and the residential issues, such as allowing fraternities and sororities as a new use in the moderate density residential zone. There will be no limit on the number of occupants for residential structures anywhere in the borough if this version of the ordinance is adopted. Borough residents have pointed these out, and the Adams County Office of Planning and Development comments also dwelt primarily on these areas. Mr. Moon has been dismissive of public comment with remarks about the Planning Commission allowing so many people to participate in the discussion, and very little recognition of public input at council meetings. The initial task force draft had significant flaws regarding changes to the zoning map, and many of those have been resolved. However, there are still significant items that should be addressed before moving forward with a vote. I hope individual council members will consider all the information that has been provided by citizens and the county and make revisions to the draft before proceeding. Adopting this ordinance as it is would be a disservice to your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Sharon Monahan, West Broadway. At the October 27th public hearing, there were comments made regarding the borough's definition of family, which left people confused. It is important that council is clear on this proposed change before you vote. Gettysburg's current definition of family reads in relevant part, a household consisting of one or more persons related by genetics, adoption, or marriage, or a group of 4 or fewer persons who are not related by genetics, adoption, or marriage. So what does this allow today in our community? 1 or 2 unmarried or married couples may live together in a dwelling. Unrelated single mothers or fathers with children may choose to live together for economic reasons. 4 unrelated LGBTQ+ individuals may live together in a dwelling. Any 4 persons who recently met on the street can live together in a dwelling in Gettysburg. These households exist in our borough now within the 4 unrelated person limit, which is not illegal and it is not discriminatory. These limits are common. In September, I described where Gettysburg currently stands in relation to some other relevant communities. Cumberland Township, 5, Strabane, 3, Camp Hill, 4, Hanover, 3, Shippensburg, 3, Westchester, 4, Lewisburg, 3, Philadelphia, the limit is 3. You can sit at your own desk at home and search communities on your phone throughout Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and on and on. They all have similar limits. Just today, I was wondering, what's the limit in New York City on unrelated persons living together? It's 3. The limit of unrelated persons living together in New York City is more restrictive than Gettysburg's current limit. There is not a significant trend to eliminate these common sense limitations. They exist for very good reasons for all residents. At the beginning of this process, a large group of residents approached the Planning Commission with a request to address this college student issue. A subsequent meeting was held so that Mr. Malawicki, on behalf of residents, could present language to address this issue. It is our understanding that Mr. Whitmore was in attendance with Mr. Strauss, head of the Planning Commission, and it is my understanding that Mr. Glass may have been in attendance. Public comment is not a time for conversation, but I stand to be corrected if I am mistaken. Somehow after that meeting, behind closed doors, and without any notice, the rest of the family definition was changed to eliminate the limitation to 4 unrelated people. Why? No one requested that. So despite all the opportunity for public input, a very significant proposed change to our zoning was made in a very non-transparent manner. Mayor-elect Carr, I hope that this will be of particular interest to you since you ran on a platform of transparency. Many members of the community expressed their concerns on October 27th, and the Adams County Office of Planning and Development has also weighed in to advise that the limitation to 4 unrelated persons be maintained. This is just one item in the proposed ordinance, but it is one that you must fully understand and consider the consequences before you vote. Why do all these other communities across the state and the country have limits? And what would the elimination of this limit do to Gettysburg? Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Starting tonight with current and old business, we'll start in the planning department with Mr. Whitmore.
Good evening. Thank you. And a copy of the report has been provided electronically. In terms of tonight's motion, this is just moving the zoning ordinance through for December 8th review. We did have the public comment as provided by the municipality's planning code on October 27th. Postings occurred in accordance with that law as well. So this is part of the process we're on for approval on this calendar year. Otherwise, in terms of additional activities, we have received minor subdivision in the downtown area, but otherwise Planning Commission continues to review Gettysburg Station project and a housing development project on East Water Street. So that concludes my report.
All right, is there any questions for Mr. Whitmore? All right, would anybody care to make his motion?
I'd like to make a comment, just to be out front for the public and for my colleagues. I will not be voting for this. I'm not in support of the proposed ordinance as it stands right now. A lot because of my research recently, the public hearing that we just held, been talking to many people in the community, and I'm not for the height being moved across Carlisle Street. I also have the same concerns with the number of unrelated people. I'm not against non-traditional sort of families and makeups of households, but as Mrs. Monahan just said, these are communities all over the state, all over the country. I think it should be a number, and 4 was the previous number, so I would support council to be open to that. I did support in 2019 the Gettysburg Station project, and I told people at that time that that would be the only place in town that I felt would fit a 72-foot building. So I did support that back then, and when I did that, I told people I will not support moving that height anywhere else in the borough. So that's where I stand right now. And I will be voting no if there are no revisions to the current ordinance.
Any other discussion?
I would also like to, I know, the last time we talked about this, you guys know where I stood, so I just wanted to kind of put that down in a more, put my thoughts together here. So, Gettysburg's charm and economy are rooted in its historic authenticity. Allowing buildings to reach 72 feet would drastically alter the town's skyline, overshadowing the 19th century architecture that defines its sense of place. The low-rise structures and open views are part of what draws millions of visitors annually. People come here because of the preserved historic feel. Tourism is Gettysburg's economic backbone. Visitors seeking an immersive historical experience are sensitive to modern intrusions. Taller urban-style developments could dilute the town's brand and reduce its appeal, leading to fewer overnight stays and less spending at local shops, restaurants, and museums. Protecting Gettysburg's unique character is protecting its economy. Gettysburg's infrastructure, particularly water pressure, emergency response capacity, and traffic design, was not built to accommodate mid-rise structures, which these are. These are not high-rises, as they've been called. Taller buildings require updated fire response equipment, potentially higher insurance rates, and more complex evacuation planning. These costs often fall on taxpayers or strain municipal budgets. Once the 72 feet height limit is approved, it sets a precedent that opens the door for more exceptions and denser development. Over time, this creep undermines zoning intent and erases the very qualities the ordinance was designed to preserve. It's much easier to grant exceptions than to reverse them once the landscape changes. Gettysburg's residents value a walkable, human-scaled environment. A jump from 48 feet to 72 feet changes the proportion and feeling of the streetscape, creating shadows, wind tunnels, and visual barriers that make the town feel less intimate and accessible. Better alternatives exist. Rather than going vertical, Gettysburg can encourage adaptive reuse, infill development, and mixed-use revitalization within the current height limit. These strategies preserve character, expand tax revenue, and attract modern businesses without sacrificing the town's historical essence. I would also agree with Ms. Monahan's comments. I think we kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater with that revision. After more time to consider it, it is hard to follow, and that might just be me. But I think we should stick with the current one and then add in the ending of what we came up with, which would address the pseudo-fraternity problem. And that's where I stand.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I just have a question. The motion to authorize the publication of a proposed ordinance would suggest that we would still be able to make changes to the ordinance since it's a proposed ordinance and not the proposed ordinance. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yeah, I mean, we can continue to make changes, but that's essentially going to kick this back many months, right? We would have to rewrite it. We would have to have another hearing, vote to advertise, et cetera.
I was just looking for clarification on.
Yeah. And I mean, just like our existing zoning ordinance, the one that's been proposed is not immutable. You know, our zoning ordinance, the current one has been amended many times, right? The challenge of getting a document like this right on the first pass has, I can't imagine coming up with a document that pleases everybody or fits everybody's needs. So I imagine we will see this one amended just as the existing one has been.
I think we had a sort of a same situation with our sign ordinance, which happened in December, and people wanted to button that up, and there were still some underlying issues, and we took a couple more months, and I think we came up with a good solution. I think with, especially the height and with, the possibility of, not having a limit on unrelated people, that could really change the nature of the borough. So I would be open. I don't think we should feel that we have to button this up in December, especially with the public input just a few weeks ago. The public's against this. So I just want to...
Sure. I'd like to put Mr. Whitmore on the spot a little bit here. I've asked him to clarify for me the changes that were made to the family definition. I've been having conversations with some folks who remain open to conversation, and I'm trying to understand the disconnect between how I read it and how other people are reading it. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked Mr. Whitmore to clarify what in this definition allows unlimited numbers of unrelated people to cohabitate.
And so, in responding, the issue is, are we regulating the relations of individuals, or are we regulating how a single family dwelling, what that is? The ordinance doesn't get into what is related, unrelated. It's making a determination that individuals cohabitating together as a family can utilize detached single-family dwellings. As it relates to unrelated individuals living together, if there's no housekeeping unit, most likely what would be occurring is called a boarding house, rooming house. That has specific design characteristics from an architectural standpoint, but then also its design is such that it's not short-term rental, more like what would be called a single occupancy room rental. Not a single family dwelling, but yeah, that's where I believe the disconnect is occurring. But yeah, so the current definition, it was established based on Fair Housing Act. Not the current, but the proposed definition. The current definition, it's a standard, creates a relationship requirement. No more than 4 unrelated persons can reside together. When presented with that, maintaining the existing standard, modifying it slightly, or going to a less restrictive standard, the Planning Commission recommended the less restrictive standard. And that's what's been presented throughout this process then.
I just want to say really quickly about these pseudo-fraternities. As somebody on the campus, they tend to be sports teams whose coaches do not let them join actual fraternities, and they are not under college rules living together technically. These boys are double paying the college and maybe the renter, and so they're already breaking a lot of rules. And so I really don't think that this ordinance will prevent them from throwing parties or prevent them from living in these houses. And so I think what I'm worried about is if this ordinance is passed and it could have effects on queer couples, other situations of, all the ways that families look, and it's still not even accomplishing its intended goal, that would be very worrying to me. And I just, as somebody on the college, I don't think that this is going to stop them from having parties. Because like I said, it's a wealthy parent buying them this house, and they just are allowed to run 3. And it's annoying for us too. Like, I don't like them either. But I don't think it's going to stop them.
Right. So I watched a lot of the planning commission meetings on this. And I think there's been a lot of critique that we have not taken into account the hard work the planning commission did for a year. We spent the summer reading through 3 different versions of this, right? The existing ordinance, the working group's draft, and then the planning commission's draft. And we had several months to discuss things in the ordinance that bothered us. And we, as a group, voted to move it forward. We came to a majority consensus on the height issue. The height issue has been contentious for 20 years, right? Some people are in favor, some people are not. That's really all it comes down to. Essentially, that's the only thing from the Planning Commission's draft that we changed, right? They wanted to create new NC zones at the suggestion of the public, and we did that. I don't know that those zones make a whole lot of sense, but we put it in the draft. This definition for family came to us from the Planning Commission. We didn't undo their work, the work they spent a year doing, right? We took their recommendation here. So I want to read this definition. And we've read it before, but I want to read it again. The term family includes, but is not limited to, the following, regardless of actual or perceived sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. A single person, who may be an elderly person, disabled person, near elderly person, or any other person, or a group of persons residing together. Such group includes, but is not limited to, a family with or without children. A child who is temporarily away from the home because of placement in foster care is considered a member of the family. An elderly family, a near elderly family, a disabled family, a displaced family, or the remaining members of a tenant family. A household consisting exclusively of 2 or more full-time college students does not qualify as a family unless each individual in the household satisfies the following conditions. The individual must have established a household separate from their parents or legal guardians for at least 1 year prior. So there does seem to be a limitation on how many young people could live in a single family house together and for what purpose. It is there. And, I'm going to tell you, you can buy a single family house as one person or as a couple, and you can have as many loud parties as you want. This ordinance is not intended to control parties. This ordinance is intended to lay down the rules for land use management in the borough. There was a concerted effort to make this document something that limits parties. And that's not what it's for. We have other ordinances that deal with that. We have a noise ordinance. We have disorderly conduct. We have nuisance laws and regulations, open container rules. And we have ordinance that addresses poor behavior, but that's not what a zoning ordinance does necessarily. It limits uses on private property. A zoning ordinance is by nature discriminatory. It's laying down boundaries and creating rules based on a neighborhood and what kind of people tend to congregate together. It is kind of a discriminatory document, but that doesn't mean we necessarily want to go further and insert a ton of discriminatory information in there that says certain people cannot behave a certain way. Now, college student is not a protected class of citizen, but even still, if we're singling out a specific section of the population and creating land management use rules based on experiences that we've all shared, that's not necessarily the purpose of this ordinance. Throughout the months that we did discuss this ordinance, Everyone here had ample opportunity to say there's something here that I don't quite like. I think we had a respectful and meaningful conversation about the reasons to incentivize increased height in redevelopment. And that specific purpose of that development was to more densely pack underutilized real estate, to create mixed use, commercial and livable space. All of these are the express goals of a redevelopment district. I'm just going to say it. In those 3 or 4 months that we talked about this as a group, I didn't hear a lot of pushback against either the working group's draft or the planning department's draft. We had our opportunity to kind of take this thing apart and put it back together, and we did not take advantage of that. So we all as a group decided to move our ordinance forward. Tonight's vote is a procedural vote that moves the process forward. It advertises it, and we will take a final vote in December.
Do we have a second on this?
The motion hasn't been made. We've just been
No one made a
commenting.
motion yet,
The
actually.
motion
Yeah,
has not
that's
been
right.
made.
I don't think we got there yet.
Having a discussion with them.
Right. We'll allow it. So again, this is a vote tonight to advertise that we intend to vote on this next month. This is not passage of the ordinance.
I would just say, Matt, too, that I know that there wasn't a lot of pushback. I mean, I didn't vote for it, and I think, so me and Chris kind of talked about this a little bit, but, it kept on moving forward. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't still voice our opinions. And as far as the family goes, it starts off with the term family includes, but is not limited to. So then it lists all this stuff, and it lists all this other stuff. So, but basically, if you take all that out, because it's not limited to that, it's just basically our new term of family is a group of persons residing together. That's basically what it is. So why, I guess my question is, why are we not limiting it if that is the current kind of procedure everywhere else?
This was the recommendation from your planning commission. Specifically, we presented other options that had a focus of defining family based on a relationship, but that is not the direction that the planning commission wanted to go. At the time, we utilized what was called the HUD, final. It was a final rule based on housing. Many of the terms are from the Fair Housing Act. So like when it talks about tenant family, that's a situation where, let's say you're on a lease, but your other family members aren't identified on the lease. They still have unique rights as it relates to being a family to occupy a dwelling, even though they're not on the lease. There's all these very strange situations that can occur, and I think that was the real discussion that the planning commission was getting into, is that the borough might not be the best arbiter of what is and is not a family. In those instances when it would not be a family, we'd be able to establish that it's either a rooming, boarding house, or other land use, then there's the opportunity for the zoning ordinance to regulate the activity. But the more granular, what level of relationship is acceptable to live in a single-family detached dwelling was not really something the planning commission thought was appropriate.
All right, so one example, and this is, you and I talked about this on the phone, right? My wife and I, we own our home. We both move our aging parents in with us. We've had 11 children, and our oldest has had 2 kids, right? So we are now a family of 18 or 19 people living under one roof. It doesn't matter how many bedrooms are in that house. It doesn't matter how many times a day we get in loud, boisterous fights. That is allowable because we are related by blood, or by marriage, and because the ordinance doesn't have any basis to, this particular ordinance doesn't have a basis to address this sort of choices people make. That's a completely different situation from 18 random people living in a house together, in a single family house. I think what Mr. Whitmore has said here is that we have aspects of our ordinance that deal with that situation. Whether it's, rental inspection or the permitting for a zoning, for a rooming house or boarding house or whatever. If, me and my 18 relations are being noisy, you can call the police on us for violating the noise ordinance or for throwing trash in our yard or for any of the other behaviors that we tend to associate with boisterous young people. And we can still do that now. There's that. I also want to point out that in 2022, when we began this process with our previous planning director, before we sent this project to Michael Baker International, council as a group decided that we wanted to move the revitalization district across Carlisle Street. That was the express goal. There was no detraction at that time. So the working group did that. The Planning Commission undid that, and then council redid that. And I think we had a good conversation about why certain people, like myself, believe the need is there, why the Economic Development Alliance believes the need is there, why the comprehensive plan believes the need is there, why the school district and the county believe the need is there. And I think other people have very, very plainly, yet eloquently stated their opposition to it. I think we had a good conversation. If I'm remembering correctly, and please tell me if I don't, I think you came in at 60 instead of 72?
I would say, I think I said I would talk about 60 if that was,
okay,
but I wouldn't vote for 70.
And I don't think you were hard on 48, were you?
I said I was willing to talk about 60 as perhaps a compromise, but that there wasn't a lot of discussion. I saw that there was support with the other council members. But as you do more research as we go, I'd love to go back. You can be very prepared, but you learn more.
Sure.
And just for example, why would we be one of the only municipalities in the state that would not have a limited amount of unrelated people? John, I think I asked you that before. Would we be on the cusp of being one of the only ones in the state and why would we want to, if Philadelphia and New York and, these are, progressive cities too that, support non-traditional families. So other than you heard that this is what the Planning Commission recommended, but as a professional in this field, do you have some reservations that we're kind of out there on our own if we go with this?
No. If anything, the ability for a local government to establish what is and is not a family is becoming more challenging year over year. Many ordinances were challenged in the early 2000s when it came to occupancy due to concerns that they were being used to target certain racial classes. That is a real effect when it comes to the occupancy license. When it comes to occupancy, what from like a sociological perspective, you end up finding that the interactions that individuals might expect from one type of family aren't going to be experienced with all types of families. So you might have people that are complaining about noise, other nuisances related to overcrowding, or just other nuisances in general. But to bring this back, the total number, an occupancy standard. That's something that came about more in line in the 70s. I mean, it's a rough number used to, I mean, the basis for it, you're trying to establish a total number occupancy load for fire protection, for safety reasons. Physical building overcrowding, that is covered in IBC codes, property maintenance codes. So there are limits, physical limits to how many people can be in a certain area, a certain structure size. So there already are some limitations that are built into our building codes and other codes, but as it relates to zoning, I mean, I'm not necessarily concerned about the ability of the municipality to regulate family land uses in single-family districts as it relates to that definition. I think the more challenging aspect is going to be regulating the areas directly around Gettysburg College. I've said that many times, is the availability of structures for use as things other than a house, but maybe as like other activity house or something. It's present there. It's going to continue to be present there, and it's something that we're going to need to evaluate from a municipal staff perspective. So a lot of words to say. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing that you're in front of this, but I mean, we can come up with a number. If it's going to be perfect, it's not, and it could lead to potential trouble or problems if there's a situation where we do have to do an enforcement action, and that becomes a judicial point of review then with regards to occupancy, how we establish the number and everything like that. So,
well, wouldn't that be happening with all these other municipalities that already have the number in it? I mean, you would think if it was problematic that Philadelphia,
and I'd
these
imagine
townships and all these other places, there would be lawsuits but are there?
Well, no. I mean, it's mostly the issue as it relates to the occupancy standard is going to be if there's actually physical overcrowding occurring. I'm thinking in the larger cities, you probably are finding that. I'm not necessarily sure why they would be going from a zoning angle, but yes, it is something that if those jurisdictions find a benefit to that regulation, and I imagine they can, it's something that, I mean, if there's a number there, provides another opportunity for enforcement. So that is something that having a specific number in mind provides. Staff is confident, though, that we don't need that to be able to effectively regulate the land use.
We will have another opportunity to discuss this in December ahead of this vote. But for tonight's purposes, here in our very first item on the agenda, the business before us is to vote to advertise the intent to vote on this ordinance in December. Would anybody care to make that motion?
Sure. A motion to authorize the publication of a proposed ordinance for consideration of intended enactment at the December 8th, 2025 monthly general business meeting of the Borough Council of the proposed comprehensive rezoning and amendment of the Gettysburg Borough zoning ordinance and zoning map.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So there could be possible changes.
If we make changes at this point, we will have to repeat the last several months of process next year.
And again, this is a vote to advertise. This is not a vote to enact. And for the purposes of transparency for the public, this is yet another opportunity. We're not voting for it to be enacted right now. This is another opportunity for people to see it in its full text, read it all, and come and speak, or call us, or email us, or send us letters, or maybe not. they might get lost in the mail or stolen. Please call us, email us, come to the public meetings.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, thank you. The motion carries 5-2. Anybody have any last questions for Mr. Whitmore before we move on?
No, I just want to say thank you, though, to Mr. Whitmore, Planning Commission, the working group, and all those who come out to express their concerns about the zoning ordinance. It's true civic engagement. Thank you.
All right. Takes us to historic and environmental preservation. It looks like Ms. English couldn't be with us tonight. Are you taking that?
I'm back.
All right.
So with this, we do not have anything on the consensus agenda. We do have those 3 minor projects at 226 York Street, 227 Baltimore Street, and 524 South Washington Street. Those are just provided for informational purposes. Tonight we have the 2 motions. This one is for a project at 125 South Washington Street. It's the Adams County Arts Council. It's for facade maintenance and then replacement. And then another project at 162 York Street. That one involves quite a bit of work related to the roof and replacing windows and whatnot, and then some brick masonry repointing and associated improvements. So.
All right. All right. Would anybody care to make the first HARB motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB recommendation for COA-250082 Major Project 125 South Washington Street, Adams County Art Council for the facade maintenance project to include the repair and in-kind replacement of the deteriorated wood and facade elements of the front canopy, conditioned that the materials used match the existing canopy as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That carries. The second HARB motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB recommendation for COA-250075 Major Project 162 York Street, HAPCO Realty for the proposed exterior facade work to include the installation of new architectural asphalt roof shingles, repair or replacement in kind of the existing windows with previously recommended 2/2 wood-clad windows, repointing of the brick masonry with lime-based mortar, installation of a projecting sign in the mortar joints, and the removal of the non-historic front storm door and canopy awning.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any last-minute questions for Ms. English via Mr. Whitmore? All right. Thank you, sir. It takes us to the parking department, and we're going to have Mr. Gable speak on that tonight.
Thank you, Council. I just wanted to point out parking remains busy, which is good. It's a good thing. As we know, this is a revenue stream that the borough relies on heavily. So I just wanted to point out where we are year to date. Year to date through September, we have in the month of September rather, $170,516, which outpaced previous years by a considerable margin. Year to date in the parking revenue is $1.328 million. Which is roughly $108,000 above year-to-date last year. So the borough remains busy. People are coming here and utilizing our parking programs. That is all I have for the parking department, unless you have questions that I could answer, or we can go to motions.
Any questions?
Just a quick question. If I recall correctly, last year in the budget season, when we came to talking about parking and raising some of the rates, which we did and we were able to do, if I recall correctly, we raised it to the max that we're able to raise it on our current street meters. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Does that also include the parking garage, even though the parking garage is cheaper than any meter in town? Have we reached the max, or might we be able to?
No, we have not. The parking garage is a different system than the meter heads on the street.
Yeah.
The technology to reprogram the meter heads on the street is obsolete, and so we have maximized that opportunity last year.
Yeah.
If you wish to reconsider parking rates in the garage, we can do that. The kiosks are a different system, and we can reprogram them pretty simply. The alternative is to invest in new parking technology on the street, and that would come at a considerable cost.
Sure. I
And
was just curious about all that. Thank you.
And that is coming, right? We have a few years before we need to really panic, but eventually we're going to start losing parking meters, and they are not something that is readily manufactured anymore. So we'll either have to move to kiosks, apps, or a combination of the two.
And stop using Windows 7.
My cold, dead hands. All right, would anybody care to make the first motion under parking?
I'll make a motion to enact ordinance number 1496-25, amending Chapter 15, Part 10, Section 10003 of the Code of Ordinances of the Borough of Gettysburg for the purpose of designating certain northernmost portions of Hillcrest Place on both sides of that public street as residential parking permit street areas.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The second motion, please.
I'll make a motion to enact ordinance number 1497-25, amending Chapter 15, Part 4, Sections 406.2.A and 406.2.B of the Code of Ordinances of the Borough of Gettysburg in order to designate the entire second block of York Street on both sides of that public street located between Stratton Street and Liberty Street as areas designated for on-street metered payment parking subject to a 12-hour maximum parking time limit.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. The third one.
I'll make a motion to set a temporary daily rate of $18 for parking in the borough's Racehorse Alley parking garage on Saturday, December 6, 2025, during a Gettysburg Christmas Festival holiday special event sponsored by Main Street Gettysburg, Inc.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
This would be an example of what Member Carr had just asked. We can reprogram them at any time. So this special rate, should you pass it, will go into effect at midnight and last till midnight on Sunday. And then the kiosk will reset to our
Resets
current
to
rate.
what it was before.
Yep.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any questions for Manager Gable before we move on from parking? All right, thank you. We'll come back to you. Mr. Harbaugh, Public Works.
Good evening. You all should have received my report for the month. Couple highlights on my report. Public Works Department did complete the fall brush pickup the week of October 27th through the 31st. So that was completed. And then on November 3rd, we did start collecting leaves with our new leaf vac truck. Exciting. And it works very efficient. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll be collecting leaves. Residents are urged to put their leaves, piles of leaves, on top of the curb between the grass, on the grass strip, or at the edge of the curb on a sidewalk that doesn't have a grass strip. Just put piles. Don't scatter them all over the sidewalk. Just put piles there, and we will come around and get them. Do not put them in the street, because if we do have any kind of inclement weather of downpours, they will travel down and clog the storm drains. We've already had a few of them happen. So we're urged to put them on the curb, not in the street or along the edge of the alleys. So we will collect leaves all the way up till the end of the year. We are preparing for the Remembrance Day Parade. You should see pre-stage road closure blocks out all the way out Steinmore Avenue from Middle Street here all the way out Steinmore Avenue. We are also preparing to put up holiday decorations the week of November 17th. This is something new. It's not in my report. The tree will go up on November 18th, Tuesday. So we'll be doing those. And one other item that didn't make my report, because it just happened after I submitted my report to you. Public Works Department planted 9 trees for the Shade Tree Commission this fall.
Great.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Harbaugh? All right. Thank you, sir. We will slide right over to Mr. Claybaugh, the Borough Engineer.
Good evening, Council. You have a copy of my report. I just have a couple of quick updates. There's no motions on your agenda for me tonight, so I can be pretty brief. Just a quick update on the Gettysburg Interloop Phase B1 project. We did get that grant application submitted by the deadline, the end of last month. As a reminder, that's just for the construction. That grant will not fund the engineering. That is on your budget for next year. And one other reminder with the budget for the engineering, I think Manager Gable did mention this in the budget presentation, that some of that engineering we can't actually start until and or if we get this grant. Some of the engineering that has to be done is directly related to approvals by PennDOT and environmental clearances that will get triggered if we get the grant and a project manager from PennDOT is assigned to the project. So there's a couple of things we can do starting in the new year with the design, but the large amount of that design will have to wait until we hear back on this grant. So fingers crossed on that. Did give you an update on the Welcome Center as well. As you know, we're in a holding pattern right now with the government shutdown for the money to come through to start the construction. But in the meantime, the property on the south side of the Welcome Center at 344 Baltimore Street was sold. So I did get a chance to meet with the new property owners, kind of recovered some of the steps that we took with the previous property owner there on the easements that we need from them to make sure that we're on the same page. Then we had a good meeting there, nothing major. There was a couple of items that they wanted us to change, so we're working through those things, but generally speaking, all good on that front. And I also gave you an update on, as John said, there's a townhome development on East Water Street. We did provide a review letter to that development, and along with our review and the county planning review, there was a lot of zoning issues with that property. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern right now, I'll call it. I think the technical word is it's being tabled just because they decided after hearing from, it was discussed at the Planning Commission didn't look real favorably upon like recommending approval of those variances. It would have to go to the zoning hearing board for variances for those things. And so the applicant, I think, took the better route of they're just going to make revisions to the plan to avoid those zoning violations. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. It's a pretty significant revamp of the plan that they're going to have to do. It's not going to happen overnight. My guess is that it'll get tabled for a couple of months here as we move forward. But that's, like John said, that's one of the big ticket items in terms of the land developments that we're working on. Aside from that, I don't have anything to add unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Claybaugh? All right, thank you, sir. Sure. It's going to take us to the Police Department and Sergeant Evans.
Good evening. I just want to start with an update of our cadet, Zach Salty, who's currently in the Hack Police Academy. Received something from them. He just finished the module number 2, and he's got outstanding test scores. Apparently his grade percent average is a 97.27, so that's great. He passed his PT assessment on September 20th, and he successfully completed all the testing and course of fire for his firearms module. So he's set to graduate on December 10th. So we're really looking forward to having him, start his field training at that point. So I believe myself and the mayor will be going up December 10th and attending his police academy graduation. No issues to report with the holiday parade. Everything went operationally smoothly. Just want to say thank you to Robbie and his team. They do an excellent job setting up and tearing down the barricades. So huge thanks to them. Again, he's going to have the Remembrance Day parade coming up, and they always do an excellent job with all these special events. So just wanted to shout out to Robbie and his team. No major issues with the filming on Baltimore Street for public safety-wise. None that's been brought to my attention. The only issues we have are just some minor traffic issues with some trucks not following the detour signage, but that was easily remedied. I want to emphasize the value of our co-responder that we currently have. He's done an excellent job. Again, his name is Abraham Medali. We recently had an uptick in some mental health calls in one specific individual, so it's been nice to have him as an additional resource to kind of, instead of officers responding and over again with the same outcome, we're able to get Abraham out there and provide him with additional resources and get him the proper help and care that he needs. So it's been great having him. We definitely missed having somebody in that position the last several months. Lastly, my guys have done some great police work over the past month. I'll let you guys refer back to the arrest report and my monthly report. But other than that, any questions that you guys have for me, feel free.
Anybody have anything for Sergeant Evans?
How'd the meeting go with the college? I saw that was in your report.
Which one?
Was it the fraternity?
Yeah, it went good. So so you're talking about the fraternity presidents?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went great actually. So they invited me for lunch. Then after that, we kind of had a roundtable discussion with all the presidents of fraternities. Basically, it was a question and answer. They wanted to know, operationally how we function. They had some questions about, the probable cause of stops and reasonable suspicion and how the police officers can approach and talk to them and do specific enforcement action on specific incidents that they had questions about. So it went very well. At least it was very well perceived to me from them. So.
All right. Any other questions?
Just keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. I will go back to the manager and the secretary for Office of the Manager and Treasurer. Ms. Stoll.
I don't have anything else to report tonight. There's motions on the agenda.
All right. Mr. Gable?
Public Works Director Harbaugh mentioned the leaf truck vacuum, a leaf vacuum truck rather. That was budgeted in Fund 18. I just wanted to point out that the borough did get that reimbursement for that recycling grant, so there's now $387,000 back into Fund 18. I believe that reimbursement was about $298,000, so that's welcome news. Year to date, in the general fund, the borough has collected $6.56 million of its $6.941 revenue expended or expected. So that leaves us about just under $380,000 to collect by the end of the year. I do think we will reach that target. There's some reimbursements from the Stormwater Authority. There's a couple franchise fees with Comcast and other Act 511 taxes to be collected this year. So I do think we're on track to meet our budgeted revenue. On the converse, expenditures, $5.675 million year to date, which means we are running about an $880,000 surplus year to date. Again, there's always some big bills at the end of the year, but I do not expect us to be in a deficit situation come December 31, which is always welcome news. With that, I can take questions, or we can move to motions.
Any questions for the manager? All right. Can we start those motions, please?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve all bills and payroll for the month as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The second motion, please.
I'll make a motion to authorize the Borough Secretary, Sarah L. Stahl, to give notice and to cause the same to be published that the proposed budget, providing an annual estimate of revenues and an annual estimate of expenditures for fiscal year 2026, has been prepared and will be made available for public inspection for a period of not less than 10 days commencing on Monday, November 24, 2025, and ending at the close of business day on Monday, December 8, 2025, prior to the completion and adoption of the budget for fiscal year 2026 by the Borough Council.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, please.
I'll make a motion to authorize the preparation and finalization of a proposed resolution for consideration and intended adoption at the next monthly general business meeting of the Borough Council to be held on Monday, December 8th, 2025, for the purpose of setting, updating, and confirming the borough's fees and charges for the issuance of licenses, permits, and the provision of municipal services in fiscal year 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, please.
I'll make a motion to authorize the solicitor to prepare, finalize, and publish a proposed ordinance for intended enactment at the next monthly general business meeting of the Borough Council to be held on December 8th, 2025, for the purposes of fixing the real property tax rate for the Borough of Gettysburg for fiscal year 2026 at 4.7702 mils, the occupation tax rate at 30 mils, and the fire protection services appropriations tax rate at .5000 mils.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I do want to add something here. While we are looking at a fairly reasonable millage increase this year, it is lower than last year. I think this council very wisely took into consideration the economic reality that much of this borough finds itself in and the problems that the majority of the population is facing down right now economically. So while it is an increase, it is a fairly reasonable increase, and I want to thank everybody for a healthy, good, robust discussion on our priorities when it comes to our spending for next year. I think we did the right thing in eliminating some spending where we could, and we did a little belt tightening, but even still, we do have some holes that needed filled, so we do have a modest millage increase. So thanks to the staff for putting that together, and thanks to everybody on council for a thoughtful conversation.
I think it's important also, I think, Charles, you said that the 14th position for the police department is now funded.
That's correct.
In perpetuity, so. I think that's
Assuming you don't reduce taxes, yes.
We're not going to do that. Yes, no, that's an excellent point. 2 years ago, we voted to create 2 new police positions, but we did not fund those. Last year's millage increase was largely to pay for one of those police positions, and this year's much more modest millage increase not only funds that 14th position, but it also backfills the deficit we were experiencing due to fairly substantial increases in our health insurance premiums. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. And then our last motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 111025-2 for the purpose of appointing Mar Dussel, a firm of certified public accountants registered in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, as the independent auditor of the Borough of Gettysburg during fiscal year 2026 in order to perform the examination and audit of the accounting records of the borough for fiscal year 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. It's going to take us to our liaison reports for the evening, and we will start, as we always do, with Ms. Sellers from Main Street, Gettysburg. Before you start, Jill, the savvy observer of our agenda will notice that several of these affiliate organizations have not had full representation over the last few months, as Mrs. Butterfield did the lion's share of this council's work in meeting with other organizations outside of our own government. That is something here in the next couple weeks we're going to need to address. We will be reaching out to members of council to talk about representation on the COG, at ACTPO, perhaps with ACPA. But I was wondering, Ms. Sellers, if you would mind continuing to represent the borough at the Steinware bid meetings.
I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things to report. First, administratively, the Board of Directors of Main Street at Gettysburg has grown by 2 members. So I'm pleased to welcome Ryan Barnes of Barnes Insurance. He does insurance across Adams County. Just a super advocate for all things Gettysburg. And Shonda White, she is the Program Director for Outreach with the YWCA in Hanover and Gettysburg. So very happy to have both of those individuals on board and creating new partnerships for us. From the ground up is our cleanup program that you may know, and I'm pleased and astounded to announce that Susan Noggle served as the head volunteer for that organization for the last 15 years. So a great thanks to Susan for making that work. Each one of those dedicated volunteers are stepping up to fill her shoes right now, and it continues to work well. They'll be cleaning up before Remembrance Day, and they'll join us again for the Christmas festival. So great shout out to selfless volunteers that continue to give back. The giving spree was last week, so if you didn't see the headlines of $4.2 million and growing raised in Adams County to serve Adams County, I think that is tremendous. So a shout out to everyone who supported over 100 local organizations that enable our missions, so thank you.
Is that the new record?
I think that is the new record, and I don't think they're done calculating
Wasn't that
yet.
like 3.7 last year?
Yeah.
That's tremendous.
Pretty exciting. So.
Tremendous.
The Gettysburg Welcome Center, as Chad mentioned, we're in a standstill as we wait for a federal budget. So, we've, as you know, you awarded the contracts. Thank you, and we are patiently waiting to make sure that we can get shovels in the ground soon. So, stay tuned. The Christmas festival is 25 days away, if anybody other than me is counting, of course. The committee met last week. Lots and lots of things going on, lots of new things going on. So if you think you've seen the festival and know what it is, you don't. There's some really cool things that are happening this year that have never happened before. So we will see you on December 5th. Please come down Friday night. Lots of things happening, including tree lighting, Tuba Fest. Huge shout out to the borough, the staff, the police department, and everyone who has stepped up to make all the pieces come together. Really exciting the way things are happening. So if anybody has any questions, they're on our website that I've been sitting there diligently updating in my time here. Thank you for that. We also need volunteers. So if you know anybody that can give us an hour or two here or there, send them my way. There's light and heavy work to be done, and the more hands make it a little bit easier on the volunteers that spend the entire weekend with us. And finally, I will report on the bid. We did meet on our regular meeting last Thursday. That agenda included their annual meeting, which will be in December, the upcoming Remembrance Day Parade, installation of the Avenue of Trees along the south end of Steinware Avenue. Lots of volunteers come out for that, which is awesome. All the things that are happening with the Christmas Festival, which on Steinware Avenue is going to be a Victorian and Civil War Christmas. So we have hundreds of reenactors and living historians coming. I think it's going to be a really busy time. So looking forward to all the things that are happening out there. Brass Band Festival next year, and some winter promotional ideas that we're putting together. The annual meeting for the bid is Thursday, December the 11th, and if I may close with remarks from the bid and from Main Street Gettysburg. Judy is irreplaceable. You all know that, but she was really a joy at our meetings. She always said she enjoyed coming to the bid meetings. She wished they hadn't been moved to the morning because that was really not the time to have a meeting of any kind. She said any woman over the age of 50 should not have to leave the house before noon. So I love that about her. So she will be missed, but I will do my best to work in her honor and stead. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you.
Thank you much.
Mr. Carragher.
Yes, I have some things to report, but first a comment. Our new director, Al Moyer, if you've never met the man, he is unstoppable. He will get things done. Very smart, very passionate, has people that will step up to follow him. And he's doing an incredible job at the rec park. The community media of South Central Pennsylvania, who is an incredible not-for-profit 501c3 organization in our county, has just awarded a Rising Impact Award for 2025, presented to the Gettysburg Area Recreation Authority. This award honors a community organization whose leadership is expanding its reach and influence through steady growth and dedication. And I applaud the rec park and its new director, Al Moyer, and the incredible team that they have over there of staff and volunteers that are getting some wonderful things accomplished there. So congratulations on that award, and thank you, community media. Along with that award, besides the beautiful plaque, they also received $1,000 worth of free publicity, and any not-for-profit will tell you free publicity is great. So thank you for that, community media. The installation of our new playground will be finished this week. Thank you to Steve Todds and David Snyder from the Career and Technology School, along with the trades class students, deserve a lot of credit for their work on that. The Rec Park is hosting the Adams County Athletic Hall of Fame's program this weekend, along with assisting Gene Green at and the Lincoln Cemetery at their Remembrance Day celebration. The Fireman's Pavilion has been refurbished with the help and donations of materials and services by master electrician Mike Carter. We hope to repurpose this area to generate further revenue. And a big thank you to longtime part-time staff members Jim Fox and Jim Nett are retiring. Thank you for your service and congratulations on retirement. They'll be honored at the next board meeting, Monday, November 24th. And again, thank you, Al Moyer, clearly getting a lot accomplished in a short amount of time in that new position.
Guy needs more jobs.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Chad, I had a question. Were you able to let Mr. Moyer know about that capital projects fund that?
I did. Thank you for bringing that up. I did. I ran into them at the giving spree, and told them our news about our discussions about the budget and that particular line item in the budget, and that we really want to get, we want to see that. We want to get them working on that capital improvements plan, and they said they have it and they're ready to show us. Okay. So I said, fantastic, because as soon as we see it and get some things done, we could give you a check, and that would be lovely. So,
thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, great, thank you. So probably nothing from ACPA. I believe they meet later this month.
GMA.
I'm sorry?
GMA.
Yes. Mr. Berger, GMA.
Oh, yeah. Main news is we're working on the Bream Alley wall. It's about 30% finished. It'll be a little while till it's done. They're going to connect the sewer over on West Middle Street. So that work's going on, and we also received comment from DEP about the Andrews well, as well as the Twin Oaks pump station.
Great. Looking forward to the completion of the Bream Alley work. GMA, we have a couple members here tonight. You guys have really been doing some heavy lifting this year, and I'm sure you're getting some guff. I'm sure Mark is taking some calls, but the work you guys are doing is really crucial, and thank you for, please pass this on to Mark and the rest of the team. Thank you for being good partners with the borough in so many of our projects, and thanks for helping to maintain our crucial infrastructure. All right, we will move to Happy, Ms. Lawson.
Yeah, well, Happy meets tomorrow, but I do have some information that I'd like to share with the community and with my colleagues on council, and that is that there is another trail out there. It's called the 9/11 Trail, and it will run, Mr. Berger probably has heard about it because his work with the other trail, but it will run from Shanksville. It will go to New York and Washington, D.C., but we learned recently that there is that trail actually has a loop that brings it to Gettysburg. So you will start to see signs around Adams County. And first they thought that they might run it through the square and where our Gettysburg Inner Loop is, but it's actually going to go through the college. But that is wonderful news for Happy and the work that they're doing with the Gettysburg Inner Loop, and also for all the interest in bicycling and pedestrian walking through Adams County. So we're excited about that.
All right, thank you. Anything on trail feasibility? All right. We didn't have a recycling report, but fire and EMS reports are in our folders. That'll take us to elected officials' comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say this week?
I just want to recognize a birthday today. 250th anniversary, the Continental Congress and the Revolutionary War authorized the U.S. Marine Corps on this day. And of course, we have Veterans Day tomorrow, so want to honor and respect those that have served.
Thank you. Any other elected officials?
I would just like to thank our borough staff, especially the manager and our department heads, for presenting us with the budget these last few months. Once again, there was thoughtful participation and contribution. People didn't get everything that they wanted, but they worked hard and collaborated in terms of, understanding the need, and I just want to thank them.
Anyone else? All right. That's going to take us to our second public comment section of the evening. This section is not restricted in terms of content. You can speak on any topic you like. Please use the podium. Please speak directly into the microphone. Please state your name and address of residence, and please limit yourself to 5 minutes.
Sharon Monahan, West Broadway. So in listening to the conversation about the definition of family, I want to further clarify that it's important not to conflate the college issue with the unrelated persons issue. The college issue, unless it gets changed, has been decided. Mr. Malawicki went in with a proposal, a meeting occurred, and his suggestion on behalf of the residents was accepted and put into the document. Yes, there are noise ordinances and other ways of dealing with the college issues, but that is not the continuing concern. Does not need to be discussed further unless you change it. The concern is the number of unrelated persons that constitute a family. So if you were to restrict any further consideration, it makes it a little bit easier. And as far as other comments, calling, writing letters, that's all been done. On October 27th, a long line of people came to this room, stood here, and gave their opinions about a variety of things, and several people spoke to the unrelated persons issue pretty clearly. I didn't hear anyone say it was a great idea. And we don't know how it happened. It was never discussed at the Planning Commission meetings, and there were a lot of them. it was done behind closed doors in a non-transparent manner. That is very concerning and to the residents and should be concerning to the council, who consistently talks about the importance of transparency in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Nancy Goodmestead. I live at 307 Baltimore Street. On the meeting, the public comment on October 27th, I mentioned about Penn State and how they decided many years ago that they should have tall buildings. And I just want to urge, if any of you have not called Penn State, it certainly would be nice to learn from someone who has experience in all of a sudden saying we can have a 10-story building instead of the 3- and 4-story buildings that they have. I've talked to a few people up there. They could not be nicer with their time. They'd be very happy to talk to you. And I urge you, before you make such an incredible decision in our town, to reach out and to talk to people who have been through the same experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'm Sue Sipperly. I live on Stratton Street, and first I'd like to give a shout out to the police department. I happen to be involved in a car crash this week on Carlisle Street. Got run into by a motorcycle, and I can't say enough about the emergency response this small town has between the fire company, the police, and the EMS people. And also the brush pickup was great. So that's good stuff. I think it would be useful in terms of this occupancy thing to have Mr. Whitmore list specifically what are the ways that occupancy can be regulated, because we sit in the meeting and we hear this litany of ways it can be regulated, but I'd like to see it in writing. This 4 people thing has been a good rule of thumb. People who live here know it, and the landlords know it. They don't always follow it, but I don't see that there's probably been any people going to the Human Relations Commission about it. And again, the student thing is difficult because it's behavior. I've got 4 girls living across the street from me who are great this year. They're adults. But one thing that has been put into this ordinance is to add student housing, which includes fraternities and sororities, to the entire R2 zone, which is much of the borough. So why make them official in places that they currently aren't? So anyway, there's a lot to it, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness, your thoughtful comments tonight about things, but there's more than one issue with the current ordinance. So I hope you maybe have the county come in and sit at one of your meetings, your work sessions, and ask them for their input on those things that didn't really get much attention at the public hearing. So there's a little bit more work to be done, and I think of the 2008 ordinance, and things got sort of put in there that contradicted other parts of the ordinance, and I can see that happening again.
Thank you, Sue. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we will adjourn to executive session. Thank you, everybody.